Trump chats with Putin ahead of his meeting with Zelensky. Border Patrol agents will remain paid despite the shutdown, and CIA ops in Venezuela are a go. I'm Daily Wire Executive Editor John Bickley with Georgia Howe. It's Thursday, October 16th. This is Evening Wire. Former Trump National Security Advisor John Bolton has been indicted by a federal grand jury. That's according to a new report from CNN. Bolton was under investigation for his handling of classified materials and subjected to FBI raids on his home in Maryland and office in Washington, D.C. Agents seized multiple documents bearing some level of classified marking. Bolton has been charged related to the documents probe. CNN reports that he allegedly shared highly classified information with his wife and daughter.
President Trump says he's agreed to meet face-to-face with Russian President Vladimir Putin again, this time in Budapest. Trump says he hopes to come to an agreement with Putin that will end the war in Ukraine. The announcement follows what Trump called a very productive phone call with Putin, who congratulated him on his Middle East peace deal. Secretary of State Marco Rubio will lead advanced meetings next week as Trump prepares to host Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky at the White House tomorrow.
The government shutdown now heads into a third week as Democrats block reopening efforts for a 10th time. Daily Wire congressional reporter Amber Jo Cooper has more.
Both sides are digging in, and after one last round of votes today, lawmakers are skipping town for another long weekend, leaving hundreds of thousands of workers unpaid and key services stalled. Majority Leader John Thune says Democrats are holding the government hostage over Obamacare subsidies.
Open up the government. Every day that this goes on, the problems are compounded for federal workers and for ordinary Americans. Chuck Schumer may think that every day gets better for them politically, but I can tell you that is not the experience of the American people.
Minority Leader Chuck Schumer insists Republicans refuse to negotiate in good faith. At the same time, a handful of Democrats, including John Fetterman and Catherine Cortez Masto, have crossed the aisle to vote with Republicans, urging colleagues to turn the lights back on.
Border Patrol agents will continue to be paid despite the government shutdown. Daily Wire immigration reporter Jenny Tare has the story.
Border Patrol agents working during the shutdown will get a paycheck. That's what agency sources told the Daily Wire. In a message from the National Border Patrol Council, the agency's union, some agents were informed this week that their payday is coming. The union's president, Paul Perez, wrote in the email, quote, "This is unprecedented and is due to the hard work of all federal law enforcement officers and the continued support of President Trump and his administration." According to the message, agents will also be given back pay for the time they've worked since the shutdown began. They also may receive accelerated pay for their next paycheck.
Congressman Andy Barr has partnered with Senators Tom Cotton and Bill Hagerty to introduce a bill today aimed at states that allow illegal aliens to obtain commercial driver's licenses. Daily Wire reporter Tim Pierce reports.
The legislation comes as the Daily Wire has revealed that federal immigration officers have arrested dozens of illegal alien truck drivers, and after one of them was accused of causing a traffic wreck that killed 3 Americans. The suspect allegedly attempted to make an illegal U-turn in Florida, blocking a highway until a vehicle carrying 3 people smashed into the truck's trailer. Here's Barr telling the Daily Wire why his legislation is necessary.
Well, they're necessary, simply put, because blue states like Washington State, California, and New Mexico are not following the law, and they are issuing CDLs without requiring CDL testing in English, and they are not following proper protocols to make sure that licenses are issued properly. And as a result, individuals who are unqualified to drive large commercial vehicles are putting the American people in danger.
Less than 3 weeks out from the big New York City mayoral race, far-left Democrat Zoran Mamdani's big lead is shrinking as independent Andrew Cuomo gains momentum. Daily Wire reporter Zach Jewell has the numbers.
The 33-year-old Democratic socialist, who's been viewed as the runaway favorite in part due to a crowded field, has seen that lead reduced a bit to 13 points over the former New York governor. New polling found Mamdani with 46% of the vote, while Cuomo now has 33% after Eric Adams dropped out. With Cuomo gaining ground, pressure has ramped up for Republican Curtis Sliwa to also pull out, giving Cuomo a chance to win over his 15% of the vote.
Tennessee Congressman David Kustoff says Memphis should keep a permanent federal law enforcement presence. Kustoff says the city's police shortages and history of violent crime justify a long-term federal role. Since launching last month, President Trump's new Memphis Safe Task Force has made over 900 arrests and rescued 45 missing children. He calls it a blueprint for other U.S. cities and says locals are thankful for the help.
Being able to talk to these agents and the Guard who are here, who tell me that, all different types of people are coming up, thanking them, hugging them. Of course, that's the Memphis way. That's the Southern way. That's the Tennessee way. But they are appreciative.
Meanwhile, President Trump has hinted at which city might be next.
I'm going to be strongly recommending, at the request of government officials, which is always nice, that you start looking at San Francisco. And we have great support in San Francisco. Every American deserves to live in a community where they're not afraid of being mugged, murdered, robbed, raped, assaulted, or shot. And that's exactly what our administration is working to deliver.
Congresswoman Nancy Pelosi snapped at a reporter Wednesday as she was being escorted away from the Capitol. The 85-year-old California lawmaker was questioned about her decision-making ahead of the January 6th, 2021 riot at the Capitol when she demanded that the reporter, quote, shut up. Here's the moment from Lindell TV.
Why did you refuse the National Guard on January 6th?
Shut up. I did not refuse the National Guard. The president didn't send it. Why are you coming here with Republican talking points as if you're a serious journalist?
The American people want to know.
JP Morgan Chase is making a massive investment to reduce America's reliance on China. Daily Wire reporter Brecca Stoll has the details.
This week, JP Morgan Chase CEO Jamie Dimon unveiled the firm's new $1.5 trillion initiative to reduce America's reliance on China. In a Wall Street Journal op-ed, Dimon wrote, quote, the U.S. has allowed itself to become too reliant on unreliable sources of critical minerals, products, and manufacturing, all of which are essential for our national security. Through the initiative, JP Morgan will invest up to $10 billion in 4 key areas: supply chain and advanced manufacturing, defense and aerospace, energy independence, and strategic technologies. With China currently producing 60% of the world's rare earth minerals and performing up to 90% of the refining process, Dimon said, quote, the time to act is now.
Nestle is launching a major shakeup that could impact thousands of workers. Daily Wire assistant editor Andy Valdez has the story.
The Swiss company's new CEO, Philipp Navratil, is leading an extensive cost-saving strategy that will cut 16,000 jobs over the next 2 years. Just a month into the new role, Navratil is pushing for a culture centered on performance mindset and growth, where he says, quote, winning is rewarded. Nestle, which is recognized as the world's largest packaged food business, has raised their efficiency goal to save 3 billion Swiss francs by the end of 2027. The workforce reductions are part of changes intended to boost the company's competitive position and improve long-term growth, which Navratil says will, quote, secure Nestle's future as a leader in our industry.
Pro-Hamas hackers hijacked multiple airport PA systems this week. The group broadcast messages attacking President Trump and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu over the airwaves and screens at Harrisburg International Airport in Pennsylvania and 3 Canadian airports.
Netanyahu and Trump. Free, free Palestine. Free, free Palestine. Free, free Palestine.
Passengers on at least one plane were forced to deboard over security concerns. The hacks are under investigation by law enforcement in both the United States and Canada.
The Trump administration quietly greenlit a covert CIA action in Venezuela this week. The New York Times reports that the administration authorized enhanced action over Venezuela's role in criminal migrants crossing the southern border and the trafficking of lethal drugs killing Americans. President Trump confirmed the plan during a press conference on Wednesday.
They've allowed thousands and thousands of prisoners, mental institution, people from mental institutions, insane asylums, emptied out into the United States. Many countries have done it, but not like Venezuela. They were down and dirty.
And are Americans camping less than they used to? Outdoor equipment giant REI will close 3 locations in the Northeast, including a flagship location in New York. That comes as competitor Orvis announced closures of more than 30 locations. Orvis's CEO said the move to consolidate retail locations was in response to tariffs and shifting customer needs. But the challenges in the outdoor recreation sector aren't new. Back in January, REI's now retired CEO pointed to 4 consecutive quarters of decline in the outdoor rec market.
Those are your drive home updates this evening. To learn more about these stories, go to dailywire.com. And in case you missed it this morning, we covered some major stories, including President Trump turning his focus to peace in Ukraine and protecting military paychecks amid the shutdown, plus drug cartels declaring open season on federal agents. Thanks for tuning in. We'll be back tomorrow morning with another full edition of Morning Wire.